When the system collapses, survival isn't just about what you have, it's about what you don't show. You might think you're ready, the plan, the gear, the escape route, but here's the harsh truth. Some of the items in your bag could turn you into a target. Not by nature, not by chaos, by people, armed, desperate, watching. One wrong item doesn't just put you at risk, it paints a bullseye on your back. In a world without rules, what you carry could get you hunted. Supplies that scream, "I've got what you don't," will make you a walking target for ambush, robbery, or worse. Today we're exposing 9 items that could cost you everything in a collapse. If they're in your pack, it's time to rethink your strategy. Stay invisible. Stay alive. And before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, because knowledge is survival. 1. Portable butane stoves. A recipe for danger. In a post-collapse world, cooking isn't just about survival. It's a high-stakes gamble. You might think your portable butane stove is a lifesaver. It's compact, efficient, and easy to use, which is why so many preppers swear by it. But here's the harsh reality. Firing up that stove could be the single biggest mistake you make. Why? Because cooking doesn't just nourish you. It broadcasts your presence to anyone within range. The moment you ignite that stove, you're sending out signals you can't see but others can. The sharp click of the ignition, it's a sound that cuts through silence like a knife. The smell of food cooking, it travels farther than you think, carried by the wind to noses that haven't smelled a hot meal in weeks. And the flame, even if it's small, it's visible from angles you'd never consider, through cracks, reflections, or even the faint glow against a wall. Now imagine this. You're in a world where people are cold, starving, and desperate. They're not thinking rationally. They're not weighing their options. They're hunting for survival. And the scent of your meal is like a beacon. It tells them you have food, fuel, and resources they don't. And in a lawless world, that's all the motivation they need to track you down. Your butane stove doesn't just cook your food. It paints a target on your back. It screams, "I'm prepared. I have what you need." And that's a message you can't afford to send. So how do you fix this? You don't stop cooking, you get smarter about it. If you're using a butane stove, do it in a sealed, enclosed space. Block all windows, vents, and light leaks. Cook at dawn when the world is quieter and the light is less noticeable. Finish quickly, clean up thoroughly, and leave no trace of your activity. In a collapse, eating in peace is a luxury, and a dangerous one at that. If someone smells your food, they'll assume you have more. And in a world without rules, that assumption could cost you everything. Don't let your stove turn you into a target. Cook like a ghost or risk being hunted. 2. Solar lanterns, a beacon you can't afford. When the lights go out for good, solar lanterns seem like the perfect solution. They're compact, rechargeable, and provide hours of light without the need for batteries or fuel. It's no wonder they're a favorite among preppers. But here's the catch. In a true collapse, that light could be the very thing that gets you found, and not by friendly faces. Let's get one thing straight. When the world plunges into darkness, light becomes a signal. A single flicker in the distance says someone's there. A steady glow says someone's comfortable. And a bright, unshielded lantern that screams, "I'm doing better than you." Picture this. It's been 2 weeks since the power grid failed. People are exhausted, hungry, and scared. They've been stumbling through pitch-black nights, unsure of what's ahead. Then, from half a mile away, they see it. A faint glow cutting through the darkness. It's your lantern, shining through a window, under a tarp, or even through the cracks of your shelter. They don't know who you are, but they know one thing. You have something they don't. And in a world where desperation overrides morality, that's all it takes. You didn't mean to show off, but you just exposed your position. You've told them you're prepared, that you have resources, and that you're worth following. So how do you avoid this? You don't stop using solar lanterns. You use them wisely. Shield the light with makeshift covers or red filters to reduce visibility. Never use them near windows or open spaces. If you're outside, block all sides with materials that kill the glow entirely. And never leave your lantern running unattended. It's an open invitation for trouble. Light is essential for safety and survival. But it's also a double-edged sword. In the dark, even the smallest flicker can draw attention you can't afford. Stay lit, stay smart, and most importantly, stay unseen. Because in a collapse, being invisible is your best defense. 3. Collapsible water jugs. A silent giveaway. Water is life. In a collapse, it's not just a necessity. It's the ultimate currency. That's why collapsible water jugs are a prepper's dream. They're lightweight, foldable, and allow you to transport large amounts of water without taking up much space. But here's the brutal truth. If anyone sees you using one, you're instantly marked. Why? Because in a world without functioning infrastructure, clean water will be more valuable than gold. Most people won't have access to it. They'll be drinking from gutters, puddles, or contaminated sources, if they're lucky. But you walk up with a clean, sturdy jug, fill it confidently, and carry it away like it's no big deal. In that moment, you've told everyone around you two things. You know where to find clean water, and you're likely coming back for more. That's all it takes. You're no longer just another face in the crowd. You're a resource, a map, a target. And in a desperate world, that kind of attention is dangerous. The problem isn't the jug itself, it's the visibility. A large collapsible water jug is like a neon sign that says, "Follow me." Once someone sees where you're filling it from, you can kiss that water source goodbye. Worse, you've just made yourself a threat to their survival. So what's the solution? Stealth. Use smaller, less conspicuous containers when you're in public. Fill them quickly and discreetly, then store them deep in your pack. Avoid taking the same path to and from your water source. It makes you predictable. Only use your large jug when you're certain no one is watching. And even then, do it under the cover of darkness. And whatever you do, don't leave your water jug visible outside your shelter. One glimpse of it, and someone will know you're holding liquid gold. In a collapse, water saves lives, but showing people you have it could cost you yours. Stay quiet, stay low, and don't let your water jug become your downfall. 4 branded first aid kits, a walking target. In everyday life, a first aid kit is a symbol of preparedness and practicality. But in a post-collapse world, that little red bag with the white cross isn't just a lifesaver, it's a liability. Why? Because it screams, "I have what you need." And in a world where medical supplies are scarce, that's all it takes to make you a target. Here's the problem. Most preppers proudly strap their first aid kits to the outside of their packs for easy access. It's convenient, sure, but it's also a flashing billboard advertising your resources. When society crumbles, people won't be scavenging for luxuries. They'll be hunting for antibiotics, painkillers, bandages, and antiseptics. If someone sees that kit hanging off your gear, you've just become a mobile pharmacy. Think about it. In a desperate world, an infection can be a death sentence. A broken bone, a deep cut, or even a fever can spiral into a life-threatening situation. People with sick children, injured loved ones, or their own wounds won't hesitate to take what they need. And if they think you're carrying morphine, insulin, or antibiotics, they won't ask, they'll act. The Lexillich isn't to ditch your first aid kit, it's to make it invisible. Strip away the branding, get rid of the red bag and the white cross. Repack your medical supplies into plain, unmarked pouches that don't draw attention. Better yet, break your kit into smaller separate packs. That way, if someone does manage to take one, you won't lose everything. And here's a critical rule. Never pull out your first aid kit in front of strangers. The moment people see you have medical supplies, you're no longer just another survivor. You're a resource. And in a world without rules, being a resource is dangerous. Store your kit deep in your bag or hidden in your shelter. Use it discreetly, and never let anyone know what you're carrying. Because after the collapse, your first aid kit isn't just a tool for survival. It's a reason for someone to hunt you down. 5. High-lumen flashlights. A beacon of trouble. Flashlights are one of those tools that feel indispensable. In normal life, they're a no-brainer. Powerful, reliable, and essential for navigating the dark. But in a collapse, that same flashlight could be the reason someone finds you, and not in a good way. Here's the reality. When the world goes dark, light becomes a signal. Even the smallest beam can cut through the blackness, announcing your presence to anyone nearby. And those high-lumen tactical flashlights, they don't just light your path, they light it for everyone else too. Imagine this. You're walking through a pitch-black forest or clearing a room in an abandoned building. You think you're being careful, but from 100 yards away, someone sees the beam of your flashlight bouncing off trees or walls. They don't know who you are, but they know one thing. You're there. And if your flashlight is still working, they'll assume you have batteries, power, and maybe even food or fuel. The brighter the light, the bigger the target. And if you're using strobe modes or high beam settings, you're practically begging for attention. In a world where most people are stumbling through the dark, a working flashlight is a luxury, and luxuries make you a target. So how do you stay safe? Start by ditching the ultra-bright settings. Use flashlights with adjustable brightness and stick to dim or red light modes. Red light is less visible from a distance and doesn't ruin your night vision. Shield the beam with your hand or fabric to prevent it from reflecting off surfaces. Never wave your flashlight around or leave it on longer than necessary. And if you're in an open area, avoid using it altogether unless you're absolutely certain you're alone. Light travels faster than sound, and in a collapse, it tells the world I'm alive, I'm equipped, and I might be worth chasing. Stay dark, stay invisible, and remember, in a world without power, even a flicker of light can bring trouble you can't afford. 6. Propane tanks. Silent but deadly. Before the collapse, a propane tank was just a tool for grilling burgers or heating up a campsite. But after the system falls apart, that same tank becomes something else entirely. A mobile flag that screams, I've got power. Propane is one of the most versatile resources you can carry. It's silent, portable, and incredibly useful. You can cook with it, heat your shelter, or even power certain tools. But that's exactly what makes it so dangerous. In a world where most people have nothing, a propane tank is a symbol of preparedness, and symbols attract attention. Picture this. You're hauling a 20-pound propane tank into your shelter. To you, it's just fuel. But to someone else, it's a lifeline. It's the difference between eating a hot meal and going hungry. Between boiling clean water and risking disease. Between surviving the night and freezing to death. People won't just see a propane tank. They'll see everything it represents. They'll assume you have food, supplies, and maybe even more fuel. And that assumption is enough to make you a target. So how do you carry propane without putting yourself at risk? First, never transport it during the day. Move fuel only after dark, and always cover it with tarps, blankets, or garbage bags. Make it look like trash, not treasure. Second, store your propane out of sight. Don't leave it outside your tent or next to your shelter. Bury it, hide it, or lock it away. And whatever you do, don't talk about it. The less people know about your resources, the safer you'll be. Propane might be silent, but the attention it brings is anything but. In a collapse, it's not just about having the right tools. It's about keeping them hidden, because once someone knows you have fuel, they won't stop until they take it. Stay smart, stay hidden, and remember, in a world without rules, even the smallest resource can make you a target. 7. Heavy cooking pots. A signal you can't afford. In a stable world, a Dutch oven or large cooking pot is a kitchen essential, durable, versatile, and perfect for preparing hearty meals. But in a post-collapse scenario, that same pot becomes more than cookware. It's a loud, unintentional announcement that you have resources others don't. Here's the reality. If you're using a heavy cooking pot after society crumbles, it sends a clear message. First, it shows you have enough food to cook in bulk. Second, it implies you have the time, fuel, and security to prepare meals slowly and properly. In a world where most people are scavenging scraps and eating on the run, that's a rare luxury, and rare things attract attention. The problem doesn't stop there. Cooking in a large pot creates aromas that travel far and wide. The longer you simmer a stew or boil rice and beans, the stronger the scent becomes. That smell can drift across entire neighborhoods, drawing the attention of anyone with an empty stomach. And let's face it, desperate people don't think rationally. They'll follow that scent like predators tracking prey, and when they find you, they won't just be asking for a bowl of soup. Even the pot itself is a liability. Dutch ovens and similar cookware are heavy and cumbersome, which means you're not carrying one unless you've set up a base. To an outsider, that pot doesn't just say you're cooking, it says you're established. It suggests you have a stash of food, fuel, and other supplies worth protecting. And in a lawless world, that's the kind of information that leads to raids. So how do you avoid turning your cookware into a target? The key is to stay low profile, use smaller pots that don't scream family feast. Cook quick, simple meals that don't require long simmering times. Avoid cooking during peak hours when others might be nearby to catch the scent. And never leave your cookware visible. Don't hang it from your pack, leave it in your fire pit, or let it sit outside your shelter. In a collapse, it's not just about what you're cooking, it's about what people think you have behind it. That heavy pot might seem like a survival essential, but if you're not careful, it could become the bait that draws danger straight to your door. 8. Thermos flasks. A silent luxury that speaks volumes. A thermos flask might seem like an innocent everyday item, but in a survival situation it's anything but. In a world where most people are struggling to find clean water, let alone heat it, carrying a thermos is like waving a flag that says I'm doing better than you. Think about it. When everyone else is freezing, thirsty, and barely scraping by, you pull out a thermos filled with hot coffee, tea, or soup. That's not just a drink, it's a statement. It says you have fuel to heat water, clean water to drink, and the time to prepare something warm. In a world where warmth and comfort are rare, that kind of display doesn't go unnoticed. The thermos itself is part of the problem. A shiny, durable flask looks expensive and valuable. Even if it's empty, people will assume it's worth stealing. And if they think it's full of something rare like medicine, soup, or clean water, they won't hesitate to take it. The mystery of what's inside is often enough to spark curiosity, and curiosity in a desperate world can quickly turn into conflict. So, how do you use a thermos without drawing unwanted attention? First, never drink from it in public. Step away from others, stay out of sight, and keep your actions quick and discreet. Second, disguise the flask. Wrap it in tape, scuff it up, or cover it with fabric to make it look less appealing. Third, never leave it out in your camp. A single glimpse of a thermos can make people wonder what else you're hiding. A thermos is a fantastic tool for survival, but it's also a silent signal that you're living better than those around you. In a collapse, that kind of signal can make you a target. Use it wisely, keep it hidden, and never let it become the reason someone decides to follow you. 9. Mosquito coils, a sense that spells trouble. In the chaos of a collapse, most people are focused on the big three: food, water, and shelter. But as the days grow hotter and the nights more humid, biting insects become more than just an annoyance. They become a serious threat. Malaria, dengue, and infections from constant scratching can turn minor inconveniences into life-threatening problems. That's why insect repellents like mosquito coils are so valuable. But here's the catch: using them can make you a target. Mosquito coils, bug sprays, and lotions all have one thing in common: they smell. In a world where most people are filthy, sweaty, and struggling to stay clean, the scent of citronella, or DEET, stands out. It doesn't just linger, it travels. Someone walking past your camp might catch a faint whiff and immediately know two things: you're not suffering the way they are, and you have supplies they don't. The problem isn't just the smell, it's what the smell represents. If you're the only one not scratching at bites, people will note. They'll assume you have more than just bug spray. Maybe you have a stockpile of supplies. Maybe you're organized and well prepared. Either way, you've just made yourself someone worth watching. And in a desperate world, being watched is dangerous. So how do you protect yourself from insects without drawing attention? First, apply repellents away from your camp and under your clothing whenever possible to minimize scent exposure. If you're using mosquito coils or smoke-based repellents, only burn them when you're certain no one is near. Never use them in open-air areas where the scent can drift far. And always dispose of packaging and used coils far from where you sleep. Insect protection is essential, but it has to be subtle. The moment you smell better than the person next to you, they'll start asking questions. And in a world without rules, questions often lead to problems. A mosquito coil might seem harmless, but the comfort it provides can make you a target. In a collapse, it's not just the dangers you see that you need to worry about. It's the ones you unintentionally invite. Stay smart, stay hidden, and never let something as small as a mosquito coil put you at risk. Bonus point 10. Brightly colored gear, a beacon for trouble. When it comes to survival, blending in is your best defense. But brightly colored gear, whether it's a neon backpack, a bright orange jacket, or a flashy tarp, does the exact opposite. It makes you stand out like a flare in the night. And in a post-collapse world, standing out is the last thing you want. Here's the issue. Bright colors are designed to grab attention. In normal life, that's a good thing. High visibility gear is great for hiking, camping, or working in hazardous conditions because it ensures you're easy to spot. But in a world where desperation rules, being easy to spot is a liability. Imagine you're walking through a forest or an abandoned urban area. You think you're alone, but your neon green backpack is visible from hundreds of yards away. To someone watching from a distance, that bright color doesn't just say, "Here I am." It says, "I'm carrying something worth noticing." And in a world where resources are scarce, that's all it takes to make you a target. The problem isn't just about being seen, it's about what people assume when they see you. Brightly colored gear often looks new, expensive, and well-maintained. It suggests you're prepared, organized, and carrying valuable supplies. Even if your pack is empty, the perception alone can put you in danger. So what's the solution? Go neutral. Earth tones like brown, green, gray, and black are your best friends in a survival scenario. These colors help you blend into natural environments and make it harder for others to spot you from a distance. If you already own brightly colored gear, consider covering it with camouflage netting, spray paint, or even mud to dull the colors. And remember, it's not just about your backpack. Bright clothing, sleeping bags, and even water bottles can give you away. The goal is to stay invisible, and that starts with making sure your gear doesn't scream, "Look at me." In a collapse, survival isn't just about what you have, it's about what you don't show. Brightly colored gear might seem harmless, but it's a silent invitation for trouble. Stay low, stay neutral, and stay out of sight. Bonus point 11. Jewelry and personal valuables, a dangerous display. In a functioning society, jewelry and personal valuables are symbols of status, wealth, and style. But in a post-collapse world, they're nothing more than a dangerous display of what you have and what others don't. Here's the harsh truth. After a collapse, the value of gold, silver, and diamonds doesn't disappear. It shifts. These items may no longer be used for luxury, but they'll still hold value as trade goods or symbols of wealth. And if you're wearing them, you're broadcasting that value to everyone around you. Think about it. A gold necklace, a diamond ring, or even a high-end watch doesn't just make you look wealthy, it makes you look unprepared. It tells people you prioritize luxury over survival. And in a world where resources are scarce, that kind of display can make you a target for theft, ambush, or worse. Even sentimental items, like a family heirloom or a wedding ring, can put you at risk. To you, they're priceless. To someone else, they're a means to an end, a way to barter for food, water, or shelter. And in a desperate world, people won't hesitate to take what they need, no matter how much it means to you. So what's the solution? Leave the jewelry at home. If you must carry valuables, keep them hidden and out of sight. Store them in a secure, inconspicuous pouch deep in your pack, and only use them for trade when absolutely necessary. And it's not just about jewelry. High-end clothing, designer bags, and even expensive-looking sunglasses can make you a target. The goal is to look as unremarkable as possible. In a collapse, blending in is your best defense. Remember, survival isn't about showing off. It's about staying invisible. Jewelry and personal valuables might seem harmless, but in a world without rules, they're a flashing sign that says, "I have something you want." Don't let your accessories become your downfall. Bonus point 12. Pets, a risky companion. Pets are a source of comfort, companionship, and even protection in normal life. But in a post-collapse world, they can also be a liability. As much as we love our furry friends, they come with challenges that can put both you and them in danger. The first issue is noise. Dogs bark, cats meow, and even the quietest animals make sounds that can give away your position. In a world where staying hidden is crucial, the noise from a pet can be a dead giveaway. A single bark can echo through a forest or an abandoned building, alerting others to your presence. And once someone knows you're there, it's only a matter of time before they come looking. The second issue is resources. Pets need food, water, and care just like humans do. In a survival scenario, every resource counts, and sharing those resources with a pet can stretch your supplies thin. Even if you've prepared for your pet's needs, carrying extra food and water adds weight to your pack and limits your mobility. The third issue is perception. To you, your pet is a beloved companion. To someone else, they're a potential meal. It's a grim reality, but in a world where people are starving, animals are often seen as food. If someone spots your pet, they might not see a loyal friend. They might see dinner. So what's the solution? If you have a pet, you need to be strategic. Train them to be as quiet as possible and avoid situations where they might make noise. Keep their food and water hidden, and don't let them wander off where they could be seen. If you're traveling, consider using a carrier or leash to keep your pet under control. And if you're in a high-risk area, you may need to make the difficult decision to leave your pet in a safe, secure location while you scout or gather supplies. Pets can be a source of strength and comfort in a collapse, but they can also be The key is to balance their needs with your own and to make sure their presence doesn't put you in danger. In a world without rules, even the smallest mistake can have serious consequences.